Okay, welcome to day 3 of Dad Tell Me Your Story. And today we're going in the old book. And we'll see where we left off. Dad Trivia. So it looks like this might be a quick video, but little trivia about me. What is your favorite flavor of ice cream? French vanilla. Growing up, we had a Baskin Robbins, or 31 flavors, near the intersection of Oakwood and Foothill in the northeast corner of La Cunada, California there. And we used to go and I would get a scoop of French vanilla and a scoop of Jamocha, which is like a coffee flavored ice cream. And that was my favorite. I think that came something probably from my dad. I think he liked those flavors. I know he liked pralines and cream. But French vanilla and Jamocha. How do you like your coffee? That really depends. Depends on where I'm getting the coffee from, depends on how I'm getting the coffee, and depends on how I'm feeling that day. So, more recently, ever since I got the achalasia, it's difficult to drink a lot of coffee. Part of the symptoms of the achalasia is you get a lot of chest pain, a lot of tingling in the chest, shortness of breath. So, because of that, coffee kind of agitates it. So I used to drink a venti iced coffee every day from Starbucks, or something to the equivalent of that. When I was a younger guy, I was drinking Monsters, sometimes 2 a day, sometimes 3 a day, which is not healthy. Don't drink those energy drinks. Stick to coffee, if anything, 1 cup a day. And in the last 6 months, it's pretty much been very few and far between. But my go-to order at Starbucks is a venti iced coffee with 4 pumps of sugar-free vanilla and a very light splash of half and half. There's something called a skinny vanilla latte they make. I used to get that, but if you order it as an iced coffee with 4 pumps sugar-free vanilla and a very light splash of half and half, you save $2. It's essentially the same drink. And really, starting 2024, in the last year and a half, we've been making our coffee at home a lot more, just trying to save money. Starbucks is really, really, really expensive. Where would you choose if you could live anywhere in the world for a year with all expenses paid? Well, that is not that tough. I told you guys before I love Maui and Hawaii. That sort of tropical environment just calls to me. I do love going on cruise ships because they're kind of all-inclusive, right? One-stop shop. You can go out. There's a casino on the boat. There's a bar on the boat. There's many restaurants on the boat. There's activities. There's pools. You can lie down and your room's there. I love cruise ships, and you go to a new destination every day. I told you about how Venice is one of my favorite, if not my favorite, European city. Venice is where your mother and I'm talking to the kids, of course, where we did our honeymoon, the majority of our honeymoon, and my best memories are in Venice, both with your mom, with Casey, and with my dad and my mom. Actually, I don't know if my mom ever went to Venice with us. That I'm not sure if that ever happened, but with my dad, for sure. Growing up as a boy with his dad, Venice, and then obviously our trips to San Francisco, which were really cool. Which I don't know if I've talked about that yet, but I'm sure at some point I will. So if I had to pick one and it was all expenses paid, I'd probably do a cruise around the world for a year, and it would have stops both in Hawaii, the tropics, Eastern and Western Caribbean, St. Thomas, St. Mark, St. Kitts, San Juan. I would love to go to the Mediterranean again, do the Greek Isles, like we did for our honeymoon. I think a cruise is going to take the cake there. So if I could live for a year, all expenses paid, I'd go on a cruise ship that would just sail around the world. And I know that sounds crazy to some people. Boats don't bother me. Confined spaces don't really bother me. Those little tiny rooms don't bother me. And you know what? Every day you wake up somewhere new and you get to go and do an adventure for a day. And that all expenses paid would include the unlimited excursions. When you go on a cruise ship, those excursions are just phenomenal. They take you to new places, new experiences, and it's pretty awesome. Travel, kids, travel. Do cruises and go to different places. You know, your Uncle Chris and Uncle David, my brothers, both of them worked on a cruise ship. I think David worked for about a year or so. Chris worked for a couple years. And talk to him about it. If I have any regret in my life, it's the jealousy that they got to go and work on those cruise ships for some time, because they saw places, did things that I can only dream of. And you know what, kids? If I make it to old age and I make it to retirement and you're off in college, I might just go work on a cruise ship. Why not? Okay, how do you like your eggs cooked? Oh, little point of contention here between me and your mom. So I like a fried egg. I like a poached egg. I like scrambled eggs. But when it comes to scrambled eggs, I like them runny. So I like to whisk them very quickly. So when I'm beating my eggs, first of all, 3 eggs, put it in a bowl, whisk it, add some heavy cream, whisk it, and then you run it through a strainer. Make sure you don't get any little bits of shell, and if you see any blood spots, remove them. Put the eggs in a buttered pan. Put some pieces of cold butter in the eggs. Salt the eggs prior to cooking, and then cook them on low to medium heat, whisking or stirring constantly. And you'll start to see it turns into more of like a liquid paste than it does like a hardened egg or scramble. That's how I like my eggs. Now your mom, she likes her eggs cooked through. She says my eggs are like boogers. Preference, cook or clean? I like to cook. I like to cook, and thank God, I don't know if your mom likes to clean, but she does it. I will clean if I have to, and I always say I'm gonna, and I never clean enough. Your mom does the brunt of the cleaning around the house, and she is an absolute angel for it, because I hate cleaning. Cooking, I like cooking. Cooking's fun. What's your shoe size? I think I always wanted to be a 12, but in reality, I'm an 11 and a half. So an 11 and a half, and I always had wide feet. So, you know, New Balance makes a wide shoe, and 11 and a half wide is like the perfect fit for me. You know, I weighed myself this morning about 215 pounds, and I was up to 260 before I got the achalasia. And when I was bigger, I had to get those wide shoes because I had fat feet. Now that I've lost a lot of weight, and I do just fit into an 11 and a half. That's my shoe size. What superpower would you choose for yourself? Man, is time travel a superpower? To go back and relive some of those memories of my childhood sometime. You know, to go back and take my mom out to a Buffalo Wild Wings. My mom, rest her soul. You know, she died almost 10 years ago. And I would go out to lunch with her. I tried to, at least, in the last year of her life. Because she didn't get sick. It wasn't like she slowly withered away. She died very suddenly. And so I think in the months leading up to her death, or maybe the year leading up to her death, we kind of had grown apart. I hadn't gotten married yet, but I bought a house with your mom. And so we were being new homeowners, which takes a lot. Buying a house and owning a house, it takes a lot. So being able to go back to 2015, 2014, 2013, and take my mom out to Buffalo Wild Wings one more time. They had these stuffed mushrooms that were so good. And they don't have them anymore. Beat-ups, put those back on the menu, man. Those are great. Get some, she used to get a buffalo chicken sandwich with the wild sauce, and just hang out with her again. To go out with my dad. And you know, this is something not a lot of people know. In fact, probably nobody on the planet knows it now since my dad died. I used to, and I only did it maybe a dozen or so times. I would go out, again, probably 2015, 2016. Before your mom and I got married and started a house, and we moved out to Simi Valley and kind of started our own life. But when I was still living in the in my hometown in La Cañada, I would go meet my dad. He had a office in a skyscraper in Glendale, California. I want to say 801 North Grand Boulevard or 601 North Grand Boulevard. I think it was 801 North Grand Boulevard, because I think it was like Unit 601 or something like that. And they had a cafeteria in this skyscraper, little hole in the wall cafeteria, nothing to write home about. My dad would get a ham and cheese sandwich and share it, and it was just quiet. It was simple. There was no one there. It was not crowded. It was just nice. And I'd go back and have lunch with my dad again. If time travel doesn't count, I'd like the ability to fly and just, I drive an hour and a half to work every day and an hour and a half home. That's 3 hours of my life spent just in a car 5 days a week. I would love to be able to just fly there, fly back, and if I want to go fly to Hawaii, like I said, I know I've said this a lot. I like traveling. I love traveling. I'd love to be able to fly. If flying doesn't mean that I can't fly at 1,000,000 miles an hour, right, and save time, the superpower is, you can't, I don't know. I'd like to be Superman, sure. Do you have any allergies? I do. And I don't know what it is. It was an allergy to some medication. I'm sure it's in my medical charts somewhere. As a kid, I used to remember it because there were shots you get growing up, like your vaccinations, and there was one of them I couldn't get because I had an allergy to it. But nothing, no food allergies, no cat, no dogs, nope. And if I do, I just deal with it. You know what I'm allergic to? I'm allergic to stupid people. I think being a cop for 10 years makes you allergic to stupid people. Crybabies, people that just cannot take care of themselves. They cannot learn to adult. Having to come in as a 20-something-year-old man and parent a 40-year-old because they just couldn't get their shit together. That makes me, I'm allergic to that. So don't be that person. Handle your shit. Get a job. Pay your rent. Pay your bills. Do right by the world. Be good to people. Don't hit people that don't need to be hit. If they need to be hit them hard, hit them fast, hit them once, put them down. What's your biggest fear? As much as I love to travel, I don't like flying. Something about that. Maybe it's because I'm a very just alpha male. I like to be in control. Something about being in a metal box 30,000 feet in the sky with some dude you've never met before, a chick you never met before, flying that plane. I mean, the reality is it's a glorified bus driver, but like, holy shit, dude, that person. You get a flat tire on a bus, you pull over to the side of the road, your engine goes out on the plane. You can't just pull over. So I don't like flying, but I do it. I do it because I like to travel. And after turning 21, flying became much easier because now, did you know there's a little magic trick? If you go to an airport, time doesn't really matter. You can have a beer at 9 in the morning. It's okay. So when I travel now, I go get a beer or 2 or 3, and I feel fine. What would you order as your last meal? Whoa. Oh, man. My last meal. I'm sure all of my friends would say it'd be a plate of Hooters wings, 911, extra wild, or extra sauce, extra wet, extra crispy, whatever. And yeah, I do love some chicken wings, but if it was legitimately my last meal, I'd like to have dinner with your mom, and of course you kids. And I would like it to be somewhere far away. I lived my whole life in LA, and I hate's a strong word, but I do not like LA. I do not like California. I don't like the state. I'd love to go somewhere else. So I think if I had to have my final meal, it would be in Venice or Italy, or you know what? I know where it would be. It'd be in Rome. We would spend the day, your mom and I, and then of course you kids get to come. And we would be touring the Vatican, because the Vatican is one of the most impressive places on the planet, and it brings you close to God, because to imagine that human beings created that thousands of years ago, only by the grace of God. And I'd love to do an 8-hour tour. You know, it sounds crazy, but you're impressed the entire time, and it's all interesting. And then afterwards, we would go to Alfredo's, which is in Rome. I would eat with the golden fork and spoon because as a young kid, I went and ate there with my father, and my dad got the golden fork and spoon because he ate there with his father when he was a kid. And when your mother and I were on our honeymoon, I took her there and we ate, and I explained that story to the owner or the manager or whoever, and he came out with the golden fork and spoon, and I thought, oh my God, the tradition continues. And then he gave him to your mom and said, the woman is the reason that men can do what they do. And he gave her the golden fork and spoon, and it was awesome, and she got to eat with them. Of course, I took a bite. And then we actually came back like 2 days later with your Uncle Chris, because he happened to be traveling in town. And again, he was doing that cruise ship thing, so he was in town, and it was kind of nice. So that would be my final meal. It would be a plate of fettuccine Alfredo at Alfredo's in Rome after a day at the Vatican. Have you ever broken a bone? Which ones and how? Yes, I think I broke my wrist, I think I had a cast. I remember a pink cast, right? I was a rebel growing up, so I had a bright pink cast in high school or junior high school. Skateboarding, broken wrist. I believe I've been in a leg cast. God, I can't remember if I broke an ankle or not. Breaking a bone hurts, but you know what? Pain is good. Pain's your body's way of letting you know you're still alive. So if you feel pain, good, embrace it. I also had the knee surgery. I don't know if that counts as a broken bone. I don't think it does. And what is your favorite sandwich? Well, that changes. Growing up, my mom and Jonathan, I can only talk to you about this right now because you're 5 years old. Nikki, you're still a little young. You kind of dabble in the sandwich game. And Evie, you're 7 months old. You don't dabble in the sandwich game yet. But Jonathan, the sandwich that you love, a turkey sandwich. That's what I loved growing up, man. Elementary school, I remember locking out of elementary, and I left there in 5th grade, so it had to be third or 4th grade or younger. My mom would make a turkey, mayo, a little bit of lettuce sandwich, and I would get Lay's potato chips, and I'd put the chips on the sandwich and eat the sandwich with the chips. That is a creation given to us and granted by the grace of God. That is heaven in a sandwich. Then when I got to my 20s, when I could go to Vegas, there's a deli at the New York. I don't even know if it's still there anymore. I think it was called Greenberg's Deli. Again, I don't know if it still exists, but they made a pastrami sandwich. It was a Reuben. And I think it was half pastrami, half corned beef with sauerkraut, Russian dressing, or Thousand Island, wherever you're going to call it. And in my 20s, that was my favorite sandwich. I would literally consider driving to Las Vegas just to go to the New York and get that sandwich. There was a dude there that worked there, and I can remember his face. I don't know who he is, obviously, but for like my early 20s, I probably had that sandwich a couple dozen times. And I'm sure it's a reflection of like Katz Deli or Langer's. And there's when I became a cop in LA, I worked Wilshire Division, and my partner Jeremy Hunt and I found this deli called Factor's Deli. It's off Pico in the Pico Robinson district of West LA. We actually thought it was Wilshire, not Wilshire. We were in the wrong division, but they have a Reuben that's very similar to the one that they made in Vegas. Not quite, but very similar. So that was good. And then when I got to my 30s, Italian sandwiches. Oh my God, that's the kick I'm on right now. In fact, my lunch today is 2 homemade Italian sandwiches, which would be your cold cuts, your soppressato, this got prosciutto, pepperoni, ham. Of course, I like my Italian with lettuce, tomato, onions, pepperoncinis, jalapenos, or any sort of peppers. Jimmy John says it's like this sweet peppers that they do. That's incredible. I've got a meeting in 15 minutes. All right. Unfortunately, with the Aclasia, the lettuce I can't really do. The onions are tough, so the ones I made today just have some sliced tomatoes and the meat. Now, on an Italian sub, they will tell you oil and vinegar only, right? So, a couple months ago, your mom and I went to street festival in Thousand Oaks. Sorry. And there was some booth where they were selling oil, and I got this garlic oil and this balsamic vinaigrette reduction, and it is just chef's kiss, right? So good. And that's the kick I'm on right now. My favorite sandwich right now is an Italian sandwich, and who knows, that might change, and it's okay. It's okay if it changes. And now we're going to get into the teenage years. I'll probably pause the video here since we were doing a little dad trivia this morning, and we'll pick it up with teenage years again next week, because today's Friday, and I've been recording these as I drive into work, so I probably won't do another one until tomorrow. But it'll be the teenage years. And that was a quick little video, little dad trivia for you. And as always, my wife, I love you. You are the light of my life, and you are wildly impressive. You every day get up and take care of our house, of our children, while I go off to work. And kids, don't let anybody in this world convince you otherwise. Your mother works twice as hard as I do. No amount of overtime, no amount of travel, no amount of investigation will ever trump what your mom does. She just gives her everything every day. And I see it takes a toll on her. It makes her, she's tired. And I just, I appreciate her. I appreciate you, Casey, for what you do. You are just a perfect person. Way out of my league, by the way. Way too impressive of a person. Way too good looking. Smoking hot. I never ever deserved a chance with her, and I thank God every day that I got that, because I would never have found anybody quite like her. Jonathan, again, as always, I love you. My son, my oldest. Today you were getting up. You came down after Nikki, and you ate your whole breakfast. I made you my scrambled eggs, my runny, gross scrambled eggs. Super cheesy scrambled eggs. You loved them. Everyone loves my eggs but Mom. They're great eggs. You ate all your little tater tots and your watermelon. And it's just, you impress me every day with your just quisitiveness. You're so smart, and you're so eager to explore and get out there, and always have that, man. Keep looking, keep searching, keep traveling. Not all who wander are lost. And Nikki, my second boy, I love you too. I want you to know that you got up this morning at about 6:30 and came in. You're such a cute boy, because you didn't come into the room. You didn't want to wake us up. So you sat on the stairs outside of our door. We sleep with the door open because we have dogs and a cat. And I saw you out there, and I got up and I came down with you. So it was kind of a Nikki and Daddy morning as I cooked. And you're such a brave kid, and that impresses me at 3 years old. Well, you'll be 3 in a couple days. I think on Monday is your birthday. Yeah, it's the 25th. So in a couple days, on the 28th, it's going to be your 3rd birthday. Don't judge me if I get your birthday wrong. Jonathan, Nikki, Evie, Casey. I am terrible with dates. My brain is in a million places all the time, so sorry about it. But Nikki, keep being brave. Keep going out there and taking on new challenges. Protect your brother and your sister. You are full of love. You always want to give hugs to Jonathan when he goes to school, and you guys hugging it melts my heart. And then you love being around your sister, Evie. And Evie, this morning you slept in. It was nice. You came down with Mom when she came down, and you had some scrambled eggs and some tater tots. Nikki, by the way, he was calling them tater tacos. I couldn't. It was so cute. And then Jonathan wanted to correct you. And you know what? Call them tater tacos, dude. That's fine. Evie, at 7 months, you're sitting up, you're eating food, you're babbling. I mean, you're going to be talking soon. God, it's only a moment before you start crawling. Keep being the princess that you are, because you are perfect. You are a perfect little woman, and you are going to be a woman that changes the world. All of my kids are destined for greatness. So thank you for being you. I love you very much, and I will see you tomorrow.